Hey hipsters, this is Aaron from the Shoot from the Hip podcast. I'm here with Lancer, and we want to bring you a quick public service announcement, but we're keeping this on the down low.
Right.
It's come to our attention that Matt has been embezzling money from our sponsorship fund, as well as taking advantage of our Shave Ice sponsor. It's really, frankly, it's getting out of hand.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, it's
pretty bad stuff.
This is something that we didn't want to have to make this decision, but unfortunately, we're forced to make a decision here, and frankly, Lance and I can attest to this. He's not even really that funny.
Yeah, he's like the worst. He's definitely the weak link here.
Yeah, he's the weak link in the chain. He never really has good ideas.
No.
He's late. He's just a kind of a hard person to deal with.
Every idea we've had has been you and me. You know that?
Right. We're really the brainchild of this, anyways.
Right.
So, we're coming to you in secrecy right now, and Matt doesn't know this, but we're gonna have to kick him off the show, and we're gonna have to replace him. So, if you would want to audition for a lead role in this gloriously great podcast, you can DM us in Instagram. You can DM us on Facebook, Twitter, and we'll be looking at resumes.
Yeah.
And collaborating, Lancer and I, seeing who's going to be a good fit.
Yep.
And maybe we'll bring you in, see what kind of chemistry you have with us, and whatnot. But anyways, we just, we know some of you love Matt,
right?
But we know him differently,
right,
than you guys know him. So, let's just settle it this way. Sit back, listen to this. We're gonna give you a little clip, and it's gonna perfectly explain what we're talking about. So you can make the judgment call for yourself. See you guys later.
I will neither confirm nor deny that I know what you're talking about, because I honestly don't know, and I'm probably just dumb, and it actually does exist. I don't think I'd risk it, just because I don't know. I'll go with less money. That's just me.
You don't
I'm
need
okay.
much money.
I'm okay with what I got. That scares me, though. I know what I smell like when I don't put on deodorant. Is there?
That was a really loud swallow.
That was a loud swallow. I apologize for that one. And my wife gets annoyed at me because she'll be talking to me, and then I'll be asleep. It's because people like tapioca.
That's not because people like tapioca.
You don't know that.
Gosh, I just want to slap you upside the head. Next time you show up, I'm putting a blanket over you, and I'm duct taping you inside that blanket. All right, hipsters, we have a special treat for you local listeners to the show. We have a new show sponsor to present to you. As we are rapidly approaching the warmer weather, the need to treat yourself to something cool and refreshing will become insatiable. What better way to satisfy your desire for sweets than with a Hawaiian Shave Ice? Paradise Hawaiian Shaved Ice in Swanee, Georgia has partnered with us to give our listeners a 15% off code to use when they visit. Use the code SHOOTFROMTHEHIP for 15% off your total. Try it today at 2855 Lawrenceville Swanee Road in Swanee, Georgia. Again, it's Paradise Hawaiian Shaved Ice in Swanee, Georgia. Use the code SHOOTFROMTHEHIP for 15% off your total today.
Happy April Fools.
We're back.
Yes.
We're all alive.
All right, so I guess to kick off for April Fool's episode, which is April 1st, Monday.
Thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Today. That is today.
All right, so we're going to kick off with a roundtable discussion, and we thought it would be fun, since it's April Fool's, to talk about some of the pranks that we've pulled. And I know I've got a really long story of a prank. It was a long, ongoing prank. So I guess I'll kick it off.
Go ahead.
Why not?
Go ahead.
So there was a kid. You know those habitual liars that you like to mess around with?
Oh yeah.
The ones that just they lie so badly that you know what the truth is, but they think that they're getting away with it.
Does it become pathological where they begin to believe the lies that everyone knows to be false?
Absolutely. So there was this kid. So this is later on. He went on to go into college, and he went to my little Christian school. and he
Is that like My Little Pony?
Was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was that the name of your school? Like
Yes.
My Little Christian School?
That was a TV show sitcom that we did.
Okay, gotcha.
No, but he went to our Christian school, and it's small Christian school. We had, we didn't have a football team, but when he went to college, he decided to tell his flag football team that he was the quarterback in high school at the public school down the road. And at that time, with him was a girl from my school, and she was like, "No, you didn't."
So she just called him right out.
Oh yeah, and it's just like, how dumb can you be to make that kind of claim? So this is the guy that we're working with, and in let's see, I think I was in like 10th grade, 9th or 10th grade. A buddy of mine decided to start texting. Well, a couple friends of mine started texting him, acting like they were a girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Manti Te'o thing again.
Yes. So they started texting, acting like a girl, and then what they did is they were messaging him on. I don't remember what they were doing, but somehow they were communicating with him, and then they gave a buddy of mine's phone number to him, saying that, "Oh, this is my direct phone. Text me over here." And so then he started texting a buddy of mine. His name was Matthew. And Matthew was just replying, like, because he didn't know. He was like, okay, why is this guy texting me? And so he was texting him back. And then eventually, after like a day or two, he realized that the other guy thought that he was a girl. And so instead of being like, dude, I'm not who you think I am, he goes, my name's Casey.
Oh, beautiful.
Casey Jones. And so then he started just texting him for a while. And then he decided to friend him on Facebook. Casey Jones on Facebook became a thing.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
And so this snowballed into this huge thing for literally 3 months of a relationship. And then finally there was a girl in the class who, she was a little bit of a prude. And she was like, you need to end this or I'm going to tell on you, kind of deal. And it's like, come on. So then...
Qualities I hate in people, right there.
So then,
ruining a good prank.
Oh, yeah. So then since she was going to tell on him or whatever, he was like, okay, fine, look, I'll end it. So he decides to tell this guy that Casey Jones, was in the hospital with cancer. And was dying at the local hospital, and that what was it? She was and that the person texting him was like a family member, and so later on the guy shows up at the hospital looking for Casey Jones with a stuffed animal to give her.
Oh, no. Oh, that's a terrible... Oh, that's a great way to end it. But terrible, too.
Well, here's the deal. So he didn't find her. So then he texts the number and goes, hey, what's the deal? And so Matthew decides that the proper response was, she got airlifted to Houston.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
This guy believed in this story beyond that point for a while, and eventually he kind of caught on, but I don't know if he truly ever knew for sure that it was
did
a
he just come
prank.
to grips with the fact that he had been punked or no?
I don't think he ever really
man.
came to grips with it.
Oh, man.
That's a pretty epic catfish.
It was such a big story that I was in the yearbook staff. And so, like, I helped design the yearbook pages and stuff.
Did you put Casey Jones in the yearbook?
So, well, almost, sort of. Like, I didn't put her picture in there or anything like that, but...
You just pixelate her face?
No, what I did is, there was some, like, scrolly stuff on the sides of one of the things, and I found some scrolly, like, script font, and I put Casey Jones into it. And so, like, in my senior yearbook, there is Casey Jones is within the yearbook.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's great.
That honestly sounds very similar to the Manti Te'o situation.
Yes, it very, yeah. Uh-huh.
So-
It was funny because that happened after.
Oh, no way.
Yes, and so, like, not long after that, there was some Manti Te'o stuff, and I was like, it's Casey Jones.
So, not to get off the topic of pranks, but talking about that, somebody that believes a lie that they're telling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how insecure do you really have to be to everywhere you go feel the need to fake a resume that isn't yours?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you live with yourself knowing that everything you're telling people, and you're not going to tell them something that's dumb, you're going to say something that's like admirable or should be impressive, all that stuff is fake.
Yeah.
How do you live with yourself?
I don't know, man.
The other thing that's really like awkward about the whole thing is that everyone, and when I say everyone, including some teachers, everyone knew about Casey Jones except for that guy.
Oh man.
And like in the hall, you would hear people every once in a while go, Casey Jones. Like everyone knew about it except for that guy.
Okay, that guy's just delusional is
Very,
what it is. He's just delusional.
Were you just
I
taking
hope he's not
advantage of
anymore.
somebody that like just didn't? I mean, was this guy like? Was he a normal guy, or was
he was a normal guy, you know, no disabilities or anything like that.
Okay,
that would be horrific.
right? But I didn't really think that. But like, was he somebody that was on the in crowd normally? Was he like a pseudo popular guy at all, or was
he wasn't
was he not popular, and so he was just making stuff up to try to make himself popular?
He wasn't like so far on like the fringe of like being that kind of, you know, out of the way person, because I feel like that would be a little more on the mean side too. Not to say that it wasn't mean, but
It's less mean if he's popular.
yeah.
Well, I don't have a prank story like that. I was not a very good pranker,
Yeah.
to be honest. Most of my
I
stuff,
think they call them pranksters. but yeah.
pranksters,
Yeah.
pranker. See, that proves the point right there. I don't even know the term for it. I wasn't a prankster, but occasionally I would do something that I would consider to be mild. Like one year we would go to this teen camp, and at night one year we got the idea that we would sneak around to guys' beds and paint their toenails.
Okay.
And so I think we painted like 4 or 5 guys' toenails.
Nice.
And they woke up the next day, and none of them have nail polish remover or anything like that.
Nice.
And so there were like several guys walking around at camp with hot pink toes.
That's awesome.
And so nothing like, you know, one of the ones that's pretty good is teen camp seems to bring out like the worst in people sometimes. So
It's not supposed to do that.
it's not supposed to do that. Like, it's supposed to have the adverse effect. But we would you could buy those like individual lemonade packets, and
Like the instant powder stuff?
yeah, the instant powder one. But they would have them that are, you know, not like the long skinny ones. One that's more the size of a tea bag.
Right.
What we would do is kind of cut it a little bit, perforate it, and then we would unscrew the shower head and shove it in there and
Nice.
screw it back on.
Genius.
So as the shower hits it, it's just slowly dissolving that, and the lemonade is getting on people, but it's a color that doesn't look super noticeable. It's not
Right.
like it's, you know, fruit punch.
Right.
And so then when they go to like towel off, it's just super sticky.
That's
and it's
so
just
gross,
all
but it's
covered in
awesome.
sugar.
Oh,
And they don't
that's
know where it
good.
came from, but it's literally inside the shower head.
See,
So
some of
that stuff is all I've done. Nothing major.
Some of those I feel like I would never feel comfortable enough to be that mean. Which I say that having done Casey Jones.
I was gonna say I could never be so mean as to paint somebody's toes, but I'll lead somebody on for months.
So I guess I left
relationship.
out the fact that I ran the Casey Jones Facebook, but
Oh,
that
wow.
definitely happened. With we were talking about pranks at teen camp. I know some of the counselors at teen camp would talk to us about, hey guys, don't do like, you guys can, you know, mess around, have fun. Don't do stupid things like put toothpaste in
Right.
my shoes.
Yeah.
Because like they're like,
Yeah.
yes, I have had toothpaste in my shoes. Don't put toothpaste in my shoes. I could never do
That's
that.
a
to
weird
someone.
one.
Well, it's just like you just
Yeah.
ruin a pair of
Yeah,
shoes.
he just didn't want anything to get ruined, is what it sounded
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
You know? Yeah.
Well, that's also where I totally agree. I like the stuff that I have. So if someone
Yeah.
was to do a prank that ruined something of mine, it would be fisticuffs.
yeah.
It would just be like, I'm just gonna punch you.
If it embarrasses me
If
for a
it's
minute,
embarrassing,
okay,
or
whatever.
if it's just
uncomfortable. Yeah.
or you know, it causes you to be late a little bit or something like that. That's different
Yeah.
than actually like ruining a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Like I would smash somebody for that.
Right.
Oh man, guys, I got so many prank stories. All right, so I'm gonna say one of them. This one wasn't one that I did. Okay, this was one I'm gonna tell two at least. We might see how much time we have.
Yeah.
But one of them wasn't one I did. But senior year in high school, there's always that senior prank that's always played.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick,
We didn't
this
have
one.
one.
Y'all didn't have one?
No, we just had Casey Jones.
Okay, well that's a pretty good prank.
Yeah.
But one kid, I have no idea who did it, but I was just walking to class one day at my senior year, walked past the football field, and overnight someone had just planted a tree in the middle of the football field, right on the 50-yard line. Sometime at night, they went up there, dug a hole, put a tree in there,
That's awesome.
covered it up, and I thought that was hilarious.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
But I've kind of retired from my heavy prank playing days.
What a disappointment.
Oh, the thing is, if you've been through some of these scenarios that I went through from taking a prank too far,
Well, you're at the stage in life where friends do mean something too.
Yeah.
It's not like you just go out and just get a new
right.
one.
So I had I guess I was like 16 or 17, and me and a bunch of friends, we were sitting around a campfire one night, and where teenagers do smart things, right?
I was gonna say that's where the brain trust means.
Yeah, that's where we really get together. And we were just kind of bored, and we were
That's
like,
another
another great
Yeah, okay.
ingredient to the concoction. So one of our friends, he was like, "Hey, let's do like a prank phone call." Okay, back when people used to do prank phone calls and all.
Those
And
are
so
awesome.
so I and this was early days of cell phone too. But we one of our friends gave me the number to his boss. And he said, "Hey, call my boss." My boss, and it was a lady, and he goes, "My boss was at like this store on Friday, some or another, and just say that you were there and you met her there, and just kind of see what she says. How she reacts, right?"
I want to see what level you took this to. All right,
So,
okay.
well, I didn't take it to too creepy of a level, right?
Okay,
I was
all
just
right,
I called it up and I was like, "Hey, is this?" I don't remember her name, but I was like, "Hey, is this so and so?" And she goes, "Yes, it is." And this was like 8:00 at night, 8:30, so it was a little late.
Yeah.
She goes, "Is this?" I was like, "Yeah, we met at the store at the mall the other day," and I said the time, and I was like, "You were there at this time, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And so it started weirding her out a little bit. And so anyway, I was like, "Yeah, we talked about doing some business together or something like that, this, that. And, I was just, wondering if you wanted to grab a bite to eat one day and see if we could, talk business about things, just kind of like talking like that."
Yeah.
Anyway, so she was like, "I really don't remember this conversation. It really weirded her out. It like really, really creeped her out."
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wonder why too, right? So anyway, that was about as far as we are going to take the joke, right?
I get those calls all the time. What are you talking about?
But anyway, so we were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that was fun, whatever." And so I hang up. I forgot to like block my number when I called, and I get a phone call back, and it's this guy on the phone, and he said, "Did you just call this number?" And I was like, What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about." I was like trying to play dumb, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'm a retired police officer for the such and such county."
Okay.
And the thing was, I asked my friend, and he goes, "Yeah, that's her husband." And he was completely legit, like a serious police officer. And he like threatened us and everything. He's like,
Yeah.
"If you don't tell me who you are and why you called and blah, 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 I'm going to call the police out." And we're like, I mean, he just threw it all out there, right?
You're like, I'm a kid.
I'm like, that was a joke, man. Like, that's what I was thinking. But I was also like, I don't want to say who I am and why I called, because like that's my friend's boss right there. Like, and he's like trying to work up the corporate ladder.
Police.
But it's the police too. Like, I'm about to like get tracked down and go to jail for stalking. And so I'm like, oh gosh, this is so bad. Anyway, I talked to my buddy and I was like, "Hey man, this is what's going to," he said, "Just tell him the truth. Just tell him what happened, So I was like, "Hey man, look, we were just pranking. It was just a joke. I'm Lancer and my buddy, and we're just joking. That's how I knew she was there. He told me, and he said, 'Hey, just call her up, make it a joke.'" Anyway, so the serious part comes in where he had to go to work Monday, and he got fired that day from his job. So yeah,
That's
that was a pretty serious situation right there. So we barely got out of the jail time with that, but he still lost his job. So that was
that
pretty
stinks.
Well,
pretty
what
sad.
did he expect though at that point?
right. Yeah, I mean we were young and stupid.
Yeah, I
But-
mean,
Well, that's the problem.
if you're gonna prank your boss
Yeah.
and it goes awry, the expectation should be.
far from me to
Right.
put out some serious information.
Why did he
but...
go? Why did he go back into work though? After it had already been revealed he was pranking his boss. Like, isn't it a
Yeah.
foregone conclusion? Like, I should
Yeah.
probably just fire up the old
Yeah.
resume right now.
Well, I mean, to make things better, guy's doing perfectly fine now. He's got a great job. He's making lots of
Sweeping
money.
floors at the local.
He's
the
making
local
lots of
high
money.
school.
And you know what? Him and that lady actually have stayed in touch, and they're cool with each other.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
so no hard feelings have been left.
So
but-
along the lines of the prank phone call, some of my friends from college will remember this. We would like study late at night, and we're in Bible college. A bunch of soon to be pastors. Debating the great
Oh, yeah.
theological things of the universe. So it's like
You're the kids that hooked up computers in your dorm rooms in order to play like Call of Duty, right?
yeah, we're not going to go there. I wasn't a big video game guy myself, but
everyone else
there was
was.
some of that. There was some of that going on. So we're in late night studying, and there was this guy, this really eccentric guy that ran like the
Eccentric. Did you say it like that?
eccentric or eccentric?
Eccentric?
Eccentric.
Because there's 2 C's in that.
Eccentric. All right, hipsters, you can
anyway,
scrutinize.
Now
whether
that
it's-
I've messed up your train of thought, go ahead.
I'm gonna go with
He's
eccentric.
an eccentric dude.
I'm eccentric. There's
Yes.
no X in it though.
No, there's a C. It's eccentric.
Eccentric. I'm going with eccentric. I like it better.
yeah.
So
Wrong.
anyways, he's a really high strung guy, but he didn't really he didn't get practical jokes.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
a fun person.
he took
Yeah.
everything.
That's a target. That's what
He
you
took
call
everything
that.
really seriously. So one guy decided he started downloading like just clips of different movies and stuff, just like a soundboard on his computer.
Mm-hmm.
And we would sit in the study room and we would prank call the front desk. And we would, like, hey, is Taylor there? And he'd be like, yeah, this is Taylor. And then all of a sudden we'd hit the soundboard, and I don't know where, but he had this sound clip of John Wayne saying, "Take down your pants," and it was just like he had all these weird sound clips. But like
awesome.
I don't even know where he got all these from, but he had
Yeah.
that one, and like we would play it, and he was like, "Hello," like, and we would just. It felt like for hours we wasted, and we could just call in. He would be so adamant about trying to find out who was calling, and he could never pin it down.
Yeah.
But it was always a good time. But yeah, I never got in trouble for a prank that I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lancer, I can't sympathize.
Well,
Amazingly,
yeah.
I didn't get in trouble for a prank either.
Look, I got a few more I could go through where things just did not turn out well. But I always took the pranks up to like a kind of a dangerous level. So that's a reason why we kind of always got in trouble.
Here's that serious bit of information that I was gonna put out is when it comes down to biologically, the male brain I think starts processing consequences more so when you turn 25 or around that age.
So is that the
Biologically.
the date where we start to mature?
Well, that's the date when your insurance drops.
How about that?
So that's actually the reason behind that. 25 years old, your car
Doesn't your
insurance goes
insurance
down.
drop before that if you get married?
I don't know. I
It
didn't.
might.
I didn't notice
it might
that, but
actually-
I didn't pay attention to it either.
It may drop.
Yeah.
I don't quote.
Uh-oh. Oh, what's this? Fresh off the press
Oh my
news.
stars! It's about time.
Coming
It's
in
real news.
once again with Florida Man. I don't know if everyone knows this or not, but Florida Man has totally taken over the internet recently, and I think it's mainly because of us and the attention that we've called.
What do you mean mainly? It's definitely
it's
because of
completely-
us.
no doubt.
Yeah,
are
it's
doing.
It's
Absolutely.
completely us.
We take
and our
full
600 views.
Yeah. So Florida Man news has just been all over the internet lately. There's no way we could get through all of it though. But I found a few great ones here. Guys, Florida man and woman. We haven't talked about Florida woman before.
It's about
Florida
time
woman.
she made an
Florida
appearance.
woman in this one. Florida man and woman.
Is she a sidekick or is she like an additional? Does she do her own thing?
I mean, it's probably sister and sidekick and
I mean,
wife. I don't
woman
know.
power. Like, whatever.
So, here it is. Florida man and woman were run over by a patrol car while laying in the road to watch the eclipse.
Oh, man.
So this happened in West Palm Beach.
They're fine though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The story here.
There were no Florida people hurt in the making of this headline.
Crazy enough. So here's the story. The Super Blood Wolf Moon was cool to look at. That sounds like an Old Spice flavor or whatever it is.
Flavor.
Yes, thank you.
Give me some of the blood moon.
Yeah. Super Blood Wolf Moon is what it was called. Was cool to look at.
Or a Twilight episode.
But looking at it while lying in the road, landed a Florida man and woman in the hospital on Sunday night. The unidentified pair were taken to a hospital with a non-life-threatening injuries. According to the Palm Beach Post, police described them as 24 years old and said that they were alert and talking with officers at the hospital. An officer patrolling the Wilderness Trail about 11:30 Sunday night ran over the two people with his 2018 Ford Explorer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The officer has reportedly been placed on leave, and the park was closed for the day, and the police were basically doing patrols and did not see them laying in the road. And they also had a camera, which made them think, okay, they were trying to get pictures of the moon.
So here's the deal with both Florida man and Florida woman going to the hospital. I've been in a few car accidents, and you'll have the ambulance come by every time, and they're like, would you like to take a trip to the hospital in the ambulance? And, I'm always just like, nah, it's all good. Mm-hmm. But for Florida man and Florida woman, they just decided to do that just out of,
Yeah,
respect.
I mean, if
And just
somebody's going to come all the way out there for an incident, you feel bad about not being able to let them utilize, their tools, their skills. So
they were 100% fine.
Right.
Yeah, it gives them an outlet to
Non-life-threatening
let other
injuries.
people.
Those injuries were probably from some other crime-fighting instance that they had.
I really want to know
something like that.
how the car was, the police car. I
That's
mean,
true.
That was
yeah.
probably
The
destroyed.
suspension is probably all jacked up.
Yeah, it's probably done.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
yeah.
like how do you not see two people in the road?
I think that's why the
Well,
cop
they're
was put on
laying
leave.
down. It depends on what they're wearing.
Like that security camera's got to show him like eating a cheeseburger or texting or something.
What are you talking? It's a donut.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I missed that. But
So-
seriously, how do you just miss two people laying? First of all, though, I will admit, as much as we love Florida, man, like seek higher ground, bro.
Yeah, like
Laying
Literally.
in the middle of the road is probably not the best place.
Right.
Go climb a hill and look at it from up there.
Well, if there's a bunch of trees, that's the most treeless area. It's going to be a paved road.
You're probably right about that, but
yeah, don't have to worry about laying on rocks or snake. I guess snakes could still get you.
this is Florida.
This is Florida.
yeah,
like,
there's
Florida man was looking for a romantic evening with Florida woman. And
there's nothing so romantic as laying hand in hand
in the middle of the
in
street,
the middle of a paved road with
watching
those
the-
little paper glasses, watching the
full blood wolf moon,
the super blood wolf man,
something
moon.
like that.
Super Blood Wolf Moon is
There
what
we
it
go,
was.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
So, and
That's legit,
Yeah.
though.
So they didn't that night didn't quite go as planned, but yeah. So we ready for the next one?
We're ready.
Absolutely.
All right, so here's another one. This one actually happened overseas, but Florida man was there. It was in Iceland. All right, so Florida man rescued
The opposite of Florida.
Yes. Yeah, he was on vacation, All right, so Florida man rescues grandma floating away on an ice throne is the headline.
On an
What?
ice throne.
On an ice
throne?
throne. All right, so what happened? This was in Iceland.
Man, where is grandma from?
Right, exactly. Now, okay, this isn't his grandma. This is just a grandma.
Oh, okay.
So
That makes the story better.
yeah, so he rescued some poor
Some
lady.
random grandma.
Yeah,
On an
so
ice throne. This is the ice queen.
The ice queen grandma.
yeah, so
from Narnia.
what it says is what started out as fun and games became a rescue mission when grandma on a throne-shaped piece of ice started floating away with her on top of it in Iceland. Judith was visiting the country with her son, and when she said she discovered people taking photos of an iceberg in a throne shape, she wanted to be involved. It was shaped, she says, it was shaped just like an easy place to sit. And you can tell by looking at the shape of it. And I thought, well, it looks fun. So Judith said she jumped on.
I like that her name
girl,
is
Judith.
Yeah, Judith jumping on there.
That's great.
And then she's continued to said, when I got on it, started to totter and a wave came in. And basically what happened, the large wave came by, knocked that piece of ice off of the iceberg, and she started floating away. But fortunately...
That's a pretty legit throne there that has stayed upright.
Yeah, exactly. But fortunately, a Florida man who was boating nearby saw that she was going on and
He's
went
just
on a
boating?
rescue. Yeah, he was just boating around there. Like, he probably got on his boat in Florida going to Iceland.
He's like, man, I must have taken a wrong turn.
So
Took his kayak out.
there are photos of this, and they have gone viral.
Really?
And, yeah.
Awesome.
But she says she does not regret the incident at all, and mainly because Florida man came by.
I was going to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
when you get a man with as handsome a mullet as Florida Man
Absolutely.
to come save you off a throne, you're having a
Right.
good day.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only that, she's famous.
She was like, "Is that Joe Dirt?" No, it's Florida
Oh, it's
Man.
Florida man. Probably pet alligator up there and everything. So.
I mean, Florida Man is so concerned about the local citizens of places he's not even from, which is amazing.
Are you sure it was a boat and it wasn't his alligator?
Oh, you know,
Maybe he wrote his alligator in.
it says he was boating, but this, you know, it just.
Boating's it's a pretty broad term.
I mean,
Somebody's probably reporting from a distance too, so
Could-
maybe
yeah.
maybe they thought he was paddle boarding, but really he's just standing up on that gator.
could we call the boating part?
You are fake news.
Yes.
Is that what we could call it?
I was waiting for it.
I pushed the wrong slider.
Yeah, we could call it fake news, and I think that it's probably more likely that he wasn't boating, that he was
Yeah.
either A, riding an alligator, or B, he was probably walking on the water.
Oh.
You know,
That's
yeah.
that's another alternative we haven't
Yeah.
I
really
mean,
discussed.
there was a lot of ice out there, so it could have been.
So
like,
I mean, he could-
It is water.
yeah, exactly.
technically we're right on that.
All right, so
Once again, Florida Man, he is just a beast.
yeah, so we got one more here. This one, not Florida man's best moment, but I think it's just another one of those situations of
Are you
fake
saying
news.
that him laying in the street was one of his high points?
You know, it might have been better than this one.
Okay.
But Florida man was arrested with cocaine stuffed Lunchables.
Was he taking presents to the kids again?
I think it was either that or he was
No,
taking
no, no, no.
them.
Yeah, he had gone to the school to inspect lunches
Mm-hmm.
and realized that these kids' Lunchables had been laced. It's probably El Chapo's what it was.
Right.
So Florida Man here is performing a service. Why make a big scene in front of the kids, in front of lunch? So he takes the Lunchables. He's going to go.
This guy's a cocaine magnet. You ever notice that?
Yeah,
Lots of
well,
cocaine and meth.
Yeah, no
when you're-
fentanyl.
this is Florida once again. But when you're trying to perform public service, sometimes you just got to get down and dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what Florida Man's doing
Maybe
here.
a little bit white.
And here's the
And
part
a little bit.
here's the
A lot of it.
powdery
Here's the
white.
part about the story too is there was $84,000 worth of cocaine stuffed in these Lunchables.
Well, hey, man, that's a
So-
lot of kids you got to feed.
I mean,
lunch.
there's a
I
lot
got
of
the wrong
kids
Lunchables as a kid.
So
Not the protein ones right there.
now Florida man did go to jail for this, but once again, I think he was going to jail so the kids wouldn't have to go.
Well,
That's
it's-
where he confiscated it
Yeah,
from.
it was probably just a cautionary measure, too.
right.
Yeah.
And then once they realized who they were dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
they understood.
And they released him, I'm sure.
There was even a period of time, I believe, where the local law enforcement was against Superman. And he had,
Yeah.
he had to declare,
The local law
I'm on your side.
Not the local law enforcement, but the local media was always against Spider-Man.
Yeah. Always against
Correct.
Spider-Man.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon for somebody to try to
Yeah.
mistakenly accuse a hero of doing. I mean, look at Mr. Incredible, right?
Yeah.
He saves a man's life. What happens? Boom, lawsuit.
Yeah, there's a character like that in the Umbrella Academy too, but that's a different show.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're even talking about.
No
So,
idea there.
Don't worry about it.
it does seem odd though that Florida Man continually falls into this trap,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
people don't understand what kind of a public servant, what kind of a local icon this man
Yeah.
is, and they continually incarcerate him.
Yeah. Right.
There needs to be some training involved here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just leave Florida man alone. What's Florida man's like bat signal? What do they do for him? Do y'all know?
It's a mullet in the air.
Mullet in the air?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I thought it was.
Or is it a gator?
It's
I think it's like a fist clutching a mellow yellow.
okay. There we go.
It depends on where you're at in the country.
Right. You know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Different
Oh,
ones.
man. Florida man, you are a hero. You are our inspiration. We commend you. And yes, the reason he is grown to such popular height is because of the Shoot from the Hip podcast.
Right.
I fully believe that with all my heart.
And I couldn't be more proud to get someone just on the headlines more often than our great Florida man.
If you're gonna,
Absolutely.
if you're gonna push somebody,
There've been some talks of this Polish man, but
Oh no.
he's got nothing on Florida,
Yeah.
man.
he certainly does, and he's a
He's like the arch nemesis.
Charles Barkley once said he didn't want to be a role model. Florida man is a role model for us all.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh,
Maybe he
I can
doesn't want to
only
be,
hope.
but he is.
he's the man.
Yeah. He's great.
All right, so let's move on to our next segment of life advice, since we gave a little bit of life advice to Florida man. Oh, actually, we didn't give it to Florida man. We gave it to everyone else because everyone else needs to conform to Florida man.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so
He doesn't need to change his ways.
Be
No,
like Florida
no.
man.
so we're gonna move on to a life advice segment because we haven't talked about some life advice for a little bit. And
Yeah, it's been a minute.
people have been itching for some advice for life.
Yeah.
So I think Lancer, you said you had a couple life advice questions.
Yeah. One I got from this was from AJ in Boise.
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 Boise,
Is it
Idaho.
Boise or Boise? Boise.
What?
Boise.
Like Boyz,
like a Z
like
in-
Boise
or an S?
or Boise.
Yeah, Boise or Boise.
I think it's Boise.
Boise, Idaho. I've always heard Boise.
I've always said Boise, but I
Yeah.
think it's Boise.
Is that French? It sounds a little French. Maybe.
Boise.
Boise. Anyway, AJ.
What up, AJ?
AJ asked, what do you do when you're walking towards someone and you try to step around them, but they step in the same way you do, and you both keep stepping back and forth trying to go around each other? You know, that really weird, awkward situation. What are you supposed to do, guys? So,
Plow through them.
okay.
Yeah, just plow right on through them.
Have you
Shove
seen
them to the
those? Have you
side.
seen those recent like little clips on Twitter or Facebook that'll say, "Is it a block or a charge?" And people will post it. Yeah, you just plow them over, and then you just say, "Hey, block or a charge," and then the internet votes on it.
Oh, yeah. That's the little basketball thing going on there, yeah.
in the basketball vein, the other thing you do is you just get down at a defensive stance, and you don't let them by you on the sidewalk. And you just kind of play with them.
You keep blocking them.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, just practicing.
This is what I meant to do.
Yeah, you let them.
I'm a stopper.
You let them make the charge. You know,
Yeah, well, I mean, so who's taking the first
draw
step
the
here?
foul. What?
Take the charge.
yeah.
Who's taking the first step? So you step in a direction and they step there, or you are trying to anticipate what they're doing?
I think it's simultaneously, like you're both trying to get out of each other's way.
Yeah.
But in the process, you do get into
Like you're
each
both
other's
walking
way.
opposite directions down the sidewalk, and you come face to face, and you weren't looking up. You know, you both were texting because that's what we do.
Right.
And then you suddenly realize that someone's in front of you, but there's not enough like space to like. So you're trying
this
to
should
dodge
be
back
this should
and
be
forth.
very simple, I think. All right, you always need to hug the right side.
But what if you're from Europe?
Get off the sidewalk.
Step in traffic.
So
But I
I
mean-
I think you should just plow them over. Just plow
no.
them over,
See,
and
it
they
doesn't
should
matter
learn
if you're
their,
from Europe. You
learn
have
the
to-
error of their ways.
If you're from the United States and you go to Europe, you got to drive by their rules. You can't just say, "Well, I'm from the United States." So you
Yeah.
got to abide by our rules here in the United States.
Yeah.
So here's what you do: if you look up and someone's right there, take one step to the right. If everybody does that, nobody runs into anybody, unless you're running into the person in front of you, like into the back of them.
Yeah.
But just take a step to the right.
I mean,
If that is the rule of thumb, you never run into anybody.
now, have you ever driven a boat?
Yes,
You know, on the lake, you're supposed to be on the left.
correct.
So, I guess if we're walking on water like Florida man, you got to step on the left.
We'll leave.
But-
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If we have anybody with
well,
Florida man's capabilities, that'll be a different thing.
I guess on the serious advice of things, I've always heard eye contact. People don't make
Okay.
eye contact, and that's where that issue starts occurring. If you make eye contact, you.
What
can
if you hand
figure that
signal
out.
like on a
Interesting.
bike?
I'll do some. I'll do
What
a
if
little
you start
bit of a
like
hand
motioning,
signal
be
thing.
like, "I'm coming right here."
Yeah,
I'll
that's my
do-
spot.
I do that a little bit. Like if we get into that situation, I always just kind of like stick out a hand and I'm like, I'm going this direction.
Or what if you just stop and like hold out your hand, like, "No, after you," and just let them walk by?
Right.
You
Okay.
could do that.
So here's what I would probably suggest as far as the advice: you never give.
Well, that was my other advice.
Yeah,
you just take charge and you walk a certain way.
Yeah.
And you know what? Have y'all ever done that? Like, I'm just going to walk through this busy mall.
Well, that kind of goes with my just bowl them over.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. It
Just-
kinda
just
goes
do
with
it.
that.
It's
Yeah.
in the same vein.
Try it sometimes, hipsters. When you're walking through a busy area, don't give to anybody
Yeah,
and
yeah.
see how many people give to you.
Just kind of chest bump them on the way by.
just
and move
know,
on.
just know you're going to hit people and you're going to
yeah.
establish your
What
dominance.
about when
Yeah.
people are walking in a group and they don't want to break the group and they expect for you to walk around them? What about that?
That's annoying.
That's really annoying.
I did just walk right through them.
I think you just bowl right through them.
This isn't Red Rover. Just
the water will part,
make it happen.
and then we'll go right through the middle. And
Yeah.
that's how you do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's my solution. So AJ
Yeah.
from Boise, there you go, man. All right, here we go. We got Greg from St. Louis, and he's got some questions for us. All right,
St. Louis, Mississippi.
yeah. So here's a question. Don't mind the janitorial staff cleaning outside of our studio. All right. Hey guys, need to know the protocol for selecting a urinal in a public bathroom. Which one do you
yes.
choose?
This is
And
important.
are there any rules for conversing? Thanks.
There are definitely rules for which one you should choose. Rules for conversing get a little hazy.
Right. I think there are some simple things.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you guys feel, but when you choose option number one, door number one, is you look for the farthest urinal away from the door, in my
Yeah.
opinion, the one that's closest to the wall, so you automatically eliminate being sandwiched.
Well, here's my big thing. Pick the one that's farthest away from the sink.
Yeah, because then you have
First.
people always around you.
Yes.
Okay.
Like
Which
just
typically
away
the
from
sink
the
is
sink.
closest to the door.
Typically,
So
yeah.
you want to be at the furthest one from the
Yeah, yeah.
door
Uh-huh.
if it's set up right.
Yeah.
Which will be up against the wall, so you know you'll only have somebody
Right.
on your left.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I have a different take on this, guys.
Okay.
All right.
I say, especially if there's someone, let's walk in the situation, someone's already in there.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the one right next to them. I know that you're not supposed to, right? Like people get weirded out, but
That is weird.
you go just to the person right next to them and just make eye contact the whole time.
Yes.
The whole time.
Don't blink. Just stare at them.
Do you get punched in the face at urinals often?
No, people run away scared. And then you know what? No one is around me. And then I have the whole place to myself.
What's even better is if there's no divider.
Yes. Yeah. No divider.
Have you ever gone to like those sporting facilities where it's like the trough deal?
Yeah.
What's
I'm like,
with
what am
that?
I, an animal?
Yeah, goodness gracious. It's like we're all just here we go. Everyone just buddy up. This is ridiculous. No, I think you definitely choose a place that doesn't have anybody there, but you want to be up against a wall if possible. So if it does get crowded,
Aren't all urinals up against a wall?
yes. But you eliminate at
never
least having one person there. Now, second part of this says, are there any rules for conversing? Yes, it's very simple. Don't converse. You are
I've
not
definitely
there.
had
You're
some
not,
conversations.
I have too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't make it a point to start befriending people at the urinals.
No,
Yeah.
See, this is not the place to make friends.
the only people that I've ever talked to at a urinal are like people at work who I've already like have a
an outstanding relationship with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
if it's like Joe Schmo, hey, how about that game last night? Nah. No.
What if you're
Sorry,
at,
Joe
what if
Schmo.
you're at the game? Do
If
you
you're-
talk about the game?
after?
So let's say
when I'm washing my hands.
so let's say it's like the seventh inning stretch.
Yeah.
Do you bring up
Well,
like
first of all, I avoid using the bathroom during that point in time
Correct, yeah.
because, good gracious.
I never use I try to like never use a bathroom unless it's halftime at like a
Yeah.
basketball game because
But
I don't-
halftime's the worst time to try.
it
to use
is
the
it's always
bathroom.
busier, but I'm one of those people that I don't like to I'm there to watch the game. So I don't want to be up getting food and using the bathroom during the actual game. But I always think it's weird when somebody is when somebody's trying to make conversation about something when you're clearly not making eye contact and when you're clearly not trying to converse and they're like trying to pull it out of you. And
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just do your thing and let's go.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop. This is
I'm
not,
doing my thing. You're doing your thing.
This is not
Get
the
it done,
time and
get
the
out.
place. Yes. Like, can we just move on in life? For goodness sake. So,
We can have this conversation outside of the bathroom.
correct.
Right.
Or at least while we're washing our hands.
Yeah, I mean, preferably not if you're not, that social.
Yeah.
But
Just
I
stare. Just stare at each other's eyes but don't talk. That's what you're supposed to do.
do you kind of give them the what's up, where you like kind of move your
If
head, like,
if
hey,
you're
man.
if you're really brave, you just wink at them.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then they're like really creeped
I don't know
out.
if that's my definition of bravery, but that's one way to handle it. So
Yeah.
basically, we're saying steer clear of people as much as you can, and try to avoid making conversations.
So
Yeah.
I got another one for us here. This one comes from Neil in Grayson, Georgia. So hey, Neil.
What's up, Neil?
He says he's
Grayson.
he's in need of love and he wants to know if we can help.
Oh.
So he's looking for
I'm
somebody
already
to
married,
love.
Neil.
So
But there's only one of us that's single.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so I bring this question to the two experts in the room.
You got that right.
so-
Darn right.
So guys, Neil's looking for love. He needs someone to love.
Is he looking in all the right places?
He's looking. Apparently, he's been looking in all the wrong places.
Okay, all right.
Neil, first question: are you wealthy?
So
if
what-
yes,
yeah,
this should be easy.
Where are some places he can go? What are some,
There's the bowling alley.
Okay, so don't hang out at the bowling alley, okay? Because you're gonna meet Judith.
I like bowling.
So bowling is great, but
Yeah.
bowling alleys, unless you go to like a really new schwanky one,
What
are
about the
kind of
roller
grungy. All right, let me steer you straight.
There's
on
roller
this.
derbies that go on.
Neil, what kind of lady are you looking for here, though? Are you looking for like a homemaker type lady, maybe somebody with some Christian influence? If you are, you need to start doing some shopping at Hobby Lobby,
Nice.
Oh, good place.
because
Nice.
that's where the women go
Yeah.
who are. They're putting together. They're well put together. They're organized. They're homemaking. Lance, are you taking notes?
Okay,
over
I
here?
got you. I
You
got
need to
it.
start shopping at the Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby,
and
yeah.
then just like
And maybe just if
and
you're
randomly strike up conversations with people, or better yet, find someone, identify if there's a ring on her finger,
Yeah.
and then go up if there is none, and be like, "I'm trying to put this in my house. I don't know. What do you think about these two things?" And maybe get her opinion on it.
There you go.
there's an easy way
And-
to find out if she's married too. Just shake her left hand,
Well, I
and
was
it's
just,
good to go.
well, that can be kind of awkward. Like, hey. Before I ask you this question, can we shake hands? Just look.
You don't ask that question. You just grab her hand and shake it.
Okay, Neil, do not
Go for the left hand handshake. Gets them every time.
do not just go for that.
But
But
if you're a little bit on the other side of it, there is Chick-fil-A too.
yeah, Chick-fil-A.
So Chick-fil-A is usually pretty decent. It depends.
Yeah, I'm not one for thinking that you're going to pick up a lot of women at the fast food restaurant. But Hobby
Hey,
Lobby,
I met my wife at Chick-fil-A. Thank you very much.
I'm not
She
saying
wasn't
there
working
aren't,
there,
there
though.
are outliers, but yeah, there are better places than the roller rink or the bowling alley to pick people.
But you
Man,
have more time to get to know somebody at the roller rink and the bowling
yeah, but
alley.
most of the people in the grungy bowling alley are not people I want to sit down and get to know.
Well, it depends on the bowling alley, right?
It does depend
hey,
on the
main
bowling
event
alley.
over here is pretty nice.
I don't really consider that a bowling alley. I consider that a family fun center that has bowling. But
yeah.
bowling alleys, I always
Like
think
a
are
Dave and Buster's.
like they smell like smoke. They're dark. They have that weird old billiards room.
Yeah.
And like a couple of really old
So-
arcades.
So it's really interesting, like, because I got into bowling in high school over in Anderson, South Carolina, and they have one bowling alley. And
Is it grungy?
well, see, when I went and bowled, it was, and you'd go in, and you'd smell normal. You'd come out, you'd smell like cigarette smoke,
Yes.
and they had alcohol, cigarettes, whatever.
It's like almost every bowling alley I've ever been
Yeah,
to.
it's just like free game, grunge, and whatever. And then, like, toward, I think it was like the last couple years that I was there, they had revamped the place, no smoking. I can't remember if they had alcohol or not. I want to say they had no alcohol,
Did
too.
they like deodorize the whole place too and all that?
Old spiced it up.
It smelled fine.
They had the super blood
mean-
moon Wolfman.
Well, they
Flavor?
they ripped up the floors and put in new ones.
Oh,
So I mean that takes
Neil.
care of a lot of it.
You need to hit up the Old Spice too.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I hear that gets the ladies.
I mean, you got to go with the super
Timber.
blood moon wolf man.
Yeah.
And put some of that on. Go hang out at the Hobby Lobby, and or maybe another really good place.
Just don't stare. Like, can I add that point of information too? Don't stare.
Don't stare, and definitely let me reiterate this one more time.
And hiding in the bushes.
Don't go
and
up and
staring
just
doesn't
grab
count either.
someone's left hand and start shaking it in order to find out. If
I don't know. It's a surefire way to find out if they're married or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Well,
other
for the most part.
there's other pickup lines you could say. Hey, I was looking a couple aisles over for your number and I couldn't find it.
oh,
Yeah,
hey, that's a
yeah.
good one.
Hey,
Yeah,
yeah, you like that right there?
I like that one. I'm
So-
gonna use that one.
These are
You could always just go up and say,
Lance
"Hey,
is
are
over
you
here like
married?"
slow down. So,
My pen's out of ink.
but I think another good place you could probably go is like look at your local pet stores for adoption days, and you got to hang out on those days.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's actually a really
Because
good idea.
whenever you get like puppies and kittens that are to
Yeah.
be adopted,
Yeah.
the women, they just can't resist, and they're so cute and cuddly. That maybe that's a great place where
Yeah,
you'd be like,
it's-
Wait, the
Especially if
women
you're
or
not-
the kid or the dogs? Like
Well,
well,
cuddly.
definitely not the kittens. I'm not a cat
Okay.
person. So yes, puppies are awesome, but
Well, and
that could be a mutual point of interest too.
well, that's
right?
that's really good if you are not cute and cuddly.
Yeah.
Go
Because
get
at
a
least
cat
something
or like
is
a
cute
dog.
and cuddly.
Yeah, and they'll kind of like forget about you, and
Right,
they're just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, but your dog is
Well,
so
and,
awesome.
and they'll associate your ugliness with this kitten or puppy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe go,
It's a good thing.
maybe get a job at like one of those trampoline parks or somewhere there's going to be, maybe birthday parties. Families are going to be
There's
there.
a lot of kids. Well,
There's
yeah,
going to be kids there, but
sometimes you get the chaperones.
sometimes they bring
A lot
other
of
single people.
moms, like a lot of
Hey,
moms there. You know?
But I'm
did this,
thinking it's gonna be a
what is
party
his name?
place,
Grace?
too.
Oh no, he's from Grayson.
He's from Grace.
Neil.
What's it?
Neil.
Do you know how old Neil is?
It doesn't say here. I'm gonna guess we're gonna say, let's say Neil is 33.
Oh,
Let's say Neil is 33.
I don't know. If
Yeah,
that's the
strike
right.
that.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby.
I'm sticking with Hobby Lobby.
Get a good
Yeah.
put together
That's
woman
number
there.
one choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go shop at the Hobby. Even if you don't need stuff, just walk around. Look at stuff, ask people questions.
Where should he not look? I think that's a good point. Like bowling alleys and
Bowling alleys is on the
roller
list.
rinks.
I probably wouldn't go to like
A
Discount
bar.
Tire.
Don't expect that.
We're not gonna find a lot of luck there.
Yeah.
Maybe you also look for something that you're really into or something that you like. Maybe you're somebody that appreciates a woman who can handle a lot of things on her own. Maybe you go hang out at the Home Depot, and maybe you
Yeah.
look for some girl who's buying some tools, and you're like, that's my kind of girl.
That's
She
the
can
kind of
handle
lady.
stuff when I'm
Yeah.
not here.
Yeah.
And
The landscaping women.
yeah, maybe you go find somebody who's buying some bug spray, and you're like, look, this is perfect. She'll take care of
Yep.
the spiders.
Yeah.
Seems like this is a match made in heaven. So Neil, there you go.
I got
Something
one
creepy
more.
about this.
I got one more life
Okay,
advice
all right.
over here. This one comes from Christy. She wants to know how to stop procrastinating. So
We'll discuss that on the next segment.
we'll put that one off till next
We'll
episode.
think about it for a while. Man, okay, so that's actually a serious one though.
Yeah.
How do you
yeah.
stop procrastinating? Pretty simple.
Don't procrastinate.
You have to just decide whatever it is. You're just gonna do it.
I'll give you an honest, like, serious answer. Make a list.
Yes.
Make a list and like have that list with you so that you can actually like cross things off of it.
Now,
That'll
granted,
help you
I'm,
stop
I'm assuming
procrastinating.
Christy is a girl, so you never can be too careful in 2019. But under that assumption, though, that's great advice, but that generally works better for men. I don't know if
Fair enough.
all men are like this. Women, my wife is an incredible multitasker. She can
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of things. If you give me a list, I can start checking things off on my list. But if I don't have that,
Yeah.
it becomes increasingly difficult. So I do think that for a woman, it may not be as big a deal to make a list, but I know for me, I tend to procrastinate when I notice I have a lot of things that need to be done and I'm focusing on the macro instead of the micro. And so maybe it helps to put a list, maybe prioritize, okay, this is of the most urgency and start with that. And once that's done, don't move on to the next thing until you've accomplished something. And that way, every day you've got some fulfillment, knowing that you check something off the list.
And it's setting daily goals. So like that day-to-day goal thing helps out a ton. Yeah, and don't make it too hard where you can't accomplish it. If you make it too hard where you can't accomplish it, it gets discouraging.
Well, if you have like 3 or 4 big things and 3 or 4 little things that all need to get done, and you're procrastinating on all of them, don't go, I'm going to do big thing, then a big thing. Like mix your big and littles in so that you can have some victories along the way, because that'll bring you some motivation and you'll feel like you got something done. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but I've had times in my life where if I have a bad decision-making day, oftentimes it leads to worse decision-making and you just continue to spiral. Yeah. So one of the better things to do is to break the cycle. There's a really good quote. I can't forget who made the quote, but there's a really good quote about
you can't forget or you can't remember?
Sorry, I can't remember. I also can't remember how I'm supposed to say this. But it basically said, if you are having a tough day at work, the best thing to do is to just put in a really, really hard day's work. Because if you can hit that wall and then just like push through it the next day even harder, then when that wall comes the next time, it's not much of a wall. Yeah. And you'll kind of have overcome that opposition. The other thing you could do to stop procrastinating is eliminate distractions. Yeah. People spend more time like, oh yeah, I need to call so-and-so, and you open your phone and you see a notification for Facebook. You're like, oh, somebody commented on something. And you click on that, and 25 minutes later, you're like, oh, I was supposed to call that person. And you just wasted 25 minutes. So turn off your push notifications. If you have to, just take your social media off your phone.
But, we've totally ignored the easiest way to stop procrastinating. Just don't have anything to do.
Oh yeah, stop caring about stuff.
Quit your job.
Stop having things to do.
Don't do anything. That's Aaron, you gave some really good advice for people.
But that was better.
But Matt, I think you just hit it out the park.
You're welcome.
Don't do anything.
Yeah, I impart my wisdom to you.
So Christy, Matt says, don't do anything.
If you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time.
Absolutely.
So that's 100% accuracy.
You will have 100% accuracy if you follow Matt's plan. Just don't do anything.
Is that like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take?
Right, yeah.
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Yeah. So that means you never missed a shot.
Correct.
If you never took one. Yeah. So there you go. I mean,
that's profound. That's pretty deep right there.
All right. Guys. Well, I think we're at our end point here. I don't know what time it is, but now I know what time it is. So thanks for listening to our podcast. We appreciate you guys listening in. I hope you gained something from that life advice. I hope you enjoyed the adventures in Florida, man. And I hope you're pulling some sort of prank today. If you haven't decided to pull a prank yet, I highly recommend the Casey Jones prank. You just have to find someone gullible enough for it.
Be careful with your prank phone calls, too.
Yes. Don't get somebody fired. All right, so if you're listening, you're probably listening on SoundCloud, iTunes, something like that. We are on, what's that other one that TuneIn. That's what it is. Yeah, we're on TuneIn, too. I still haven't gotten iHeartRadio. Don't ask me. Don't know what's going on with it. iHeartRadio doesn't like us, so we don't like them.
Right.
Yeah. So if they're not going to deal with us, we're not going to deal with them.
Maybe they're pranking us.
Maybe. What a good prank.
If we get on there on April Fool's Day, I'm not going to trust it, though.
It'll probably be gone the next day.
All right, so if you're listening on SoundCloud, it's soundcloud.com/Shoot From The Hip podcast. On iTunes, we are Shoot From The Hip. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast and follow us along there. We would also love for you guys to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. It would help us out a ton. Also, you can find us on Twitter @HipShotPodcast. Follow us over there so that you can vote on some of these polls that we've had. We've had some pretty legit polls here recently. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Shoot From The Hip podcast. Follow us over there. We post occasionally over there as well, and we'll do some polls and some questionnaires and things like that. We'd love for you guys to get involved. You can also find us on Instagram, Hip Shot Podcast. We've actually had, I think, like 3 or 4 pictures now.
Just like crushing it over there.
Yeah, I know. It's like compared to the last like month where we literally had nothing.
We're 300 times better than what we were last month.
Absolutely.
It's incredible growth.
All right. So once again, thank you for listening to the podcast. We hope you have a great week.